Welcome to the Grand Canyon.
Wow!
Oh my God!
Jesus! O kurwa.
Marcin, przestań.
To jest niesamowite, słuchajcie, jak wylatujesz z tych drzew i nagle znajdujesz się nad tą dziurą, co?
Well, that is the mighty Colorado River that we see out there ahead of us.
Okay.
At the widest points of the Colorado River, it is approximately 100 meters wide. At the deepest points of the Colorado River, it's approximately 20 meters deep. And the Colorado River flows 2,250 kilometers from the state of Colorado through the Grand Canyon to the Gulf of Cortez, which is in Mexico. Now, we've seen a whole bunch of river raptors down there over the last couple of flights, so keep your eyes open for them. Now, the boats are going to look awful small. For one, they're only about 7 meters long, and we're looking at the river from 1.6 kilometers up. Hey, do you see those down there, Christoph? Christoph? You see those boats right down there?
Yellow ones.
Yeah,
See those boats?
the river rafts,
yeah. I can see.
There you go.
Yeah, yellow boat. Co tam widzicie?
We're going to cross over the river a bunch of times, so I'm sure we'll have a good opportunity to see some more.
To pontony z prawej strony żółte. Rozumiem.
How we doing, gents? Doing good?
Ja, wa?
Yeah? All right.
Fine, thanks.
So Ryan, my kids wanted me to know where did the Brady Bunch camp out when they came down and
They camped out at the Phantom Ranch.
at the Phantom Ranch?
Yeah, it's a ranch at the bottom of the canyon. What they ask you to do is hike to the Phantom Ranch in one day. And it's a pretty far hike. But then usually those people that stay at the Phantom Ranch will either turn around and go back up the same trail they came down or just up another trail, or they'll continue across the bridge and hike up the other side of the canyon. So they ask you to do it in at least a couple of days, just because it can get very taxing on your body.
Krzysztof, tak? Tutaj do mnie. Świetnie. Rób mi to samo. Ja ci ten nie zrobię. Tym mogę.
Now here on the left-hand side of the aircraft, there's 3 mountains right here in a row. The first one has a flat top to it. The next one back, kind of a pointed reddish-colored rock. The next one back's a little bit taller, got a white knob rock on top. They are named after constellations in the sky. So we have Apollo, Venus, and Jupiter Temple. Over there on the right-hand side of the aircraft, this entire eastern canyon wall. This is called the Palisades of the Desert. You can view 14 of the 17 layers of exposed geological history right there on that wall. Now, I'll point out the lowest few layers here in the Grand Canyon once we get a little more towards the end of the tour. Now, we're going to point out a whole bunch of rock formations to you, and you've got to kind of use your childhood imagination, okay? We're going to see the cruise ship, the fish, the battleship, the dragon, and the sun. You guys hear that clicking sound? Can you hear that clicking sound? It sounds like somebody's phone is still on or something like that. That's what usually causes that. That's the only reason why we ask you to turn them off, because of that clicking sound. So. Now, right here in front of us, this elongated mountain that's kind of shorter than the rest of them. If you trace the ridge line up and over the top, that might look like the cruise ship.
Yeah. To nie jest źle.
Now, out beyond the cruise ship, you see the mighty Colorado River once again.
Yep.
On the right-hand side of the river, there's a big sandbar. On the far and near side of that sandbar, you're going to start to see some different colored water. This is the Little Colorado River that empties into the Colorado River. They call this the confluence, where these two rivers come together. Archon and Adam, right down here, there's a couple of boats right there in the middle of the river.
Aha.
Now this entire land area out here in front of us, this is all the Navajo Indian Reservation, the largest reservation of Native Americans here in the United States. This reservation extends well into the distance, about a couple of 100 kilometers beyond where your eyes can see. About 250,000 Native Americans that live on this reservation.
Czuć w brzuchu teraz, nie? Jak tak ruszał.
Tak, tak.
Once again, down here on the left-hand side, we're going to fly right over the top of the Little Colorado River and the Little Colorado River Gorge.
Piękne. Piękne.
Tam widzę to.
Zobacz tam do tyłu, jak ładnie wygląda. Niesamowite.
Zobacz, jak tamten helikopter tam tnie.
Proszę?
Tam, jak tnie tamten helikopter.
No. Jesus.
Now the Grand Canyon is 446 kilometers long, and that starts at Lake Powell and Glen Canyon Dam, which is about 70 kilometers out the right-hand side of the aircraft. Now it goes all the way down to Lake Mead, down near Las Vegas, Hoover Dam. Now we're going to see a very broad view of the Colorado River here in this area. On the left-hand side, you're looking downstream, back at the Palisades of the desert. On the right-hand side, we'll be upstream, obviously, and this is Marble Canyon.
How many meters over the river we are at the moment?
About 1,600
meters?
Yep.
Oh. Wysoko, nie?
Now ahead of us here on the left, this big mountain is called Chuar Butte. The one over here on the right is called Quagget Butte. They are named after the first two Native American guides to come through the Grand Canyon with John Wesley Powell back in 1863, the first noted explorer here in the Grand Canyon. He had his arm shot off in the American Civil War. And he was also, so he did all of these expeditions with only one arm. 7 of them, if I remember right. He also was the founder of the United States Geological Survey. Now over here on the left-hand side of the aircraft, we have a line of gray-colored jagged rock. This line of rock comes right here underneath us, comes out the right-hand side, and it continues on to the north. This is a fault line here in the Grand Canyon, one of the only places in the world there is an exposed fault line. And this is the reason why the north rim, which is way out here ahead of us, continues to get pushed up and away from the south rim, which is back there behind us. Now, on average, the north rim is about 500 meters higher than the south rim, almost all the way around the Grand Canyon. Now, there still is a little bit of seismic activity on this fault line, generally very small, however, less than 1.0 on the Richter scale. But the two rims do grow apart by about 2 millimeters per year. Over there on the right-hand side of the aircraft, just ahead of us a little bit, that is the fish. So this is actually called Malgosa Crest. Now I think that looks like the helicopter without the rotor blades on it. That's my childhood thought process.
Do you like the picture? Sorry? Oh, thanks.
You guys still doing good?
Yeah, still going good.
All right.
Jak ci, Krzysiu, wychodzą zdjęcia przez tą szybę? Dobrze?
Right out here in front of us, this ridge line is called the Boundary Ridge. On this side, the Grand Canyon National Park, and on the far side goes back into the Kaibab National Forest. Now this mountain here in front of us, this is called Saddle Mountain. We're going to travel a little bit closer to Saddle Mountain, give us a better perspective on what we're looking at out here.
Okay.
I'm going to point out a couple things over here on the left-hand side of the aircraft, but don't worry about it if you can't see them over there on the right. We're going to make a turn in front of Saddle Mountain, head back the other direction a little bit. These next 2 points will come down the right-hand side, just a few seconds. Now, if you're looking over here on the left, there's a thumb-like looking spire just barely poking itself above the mountains in the background. That is called Mount Hayden. Mount Hayden is the most photographed rock here in the Grand Canyon. Now, just to the right of Mount Hayden, got the tallest point here in the Grand Canyon. This is called Point Imperial. It's got those two big clumps of trees on it. Approximately 2,900 meters above sea level.
Wow. Ale pięknie teraz.
Czy my zaraz walniemy w tą ścianę? Gdyby teraz tak zawinął i w dół tak spadać.
Co?
W dół.
Once again, Saddle Mountain right here to the right of us. Kind of looks a little different once you come up a little closer to it.
Piękne.
Now, for those of you on the right-hand side of the aircraft, this thumb-like looking spire, that is Mount Hayden. Just to the right of Mount Hayden, Point Imperial. All right, here in front of us, just about ready to poke itself above the horizon. This is the battleship. Kind of looks like the bridge portion of a battleship. We're going to go up a little bit closer to it and bring it down the left-hand side of the aircraft.
Grand Canyon ośnieżony gratką.
No nie, tak to nie. Tak to nie.
O, jak ładnie. Pyskiem w dół, pyskiem w dół. Dobre, dobre. Buster.
Tak to nie. Jezus Maria.
Osiedl Ferencki.
Mount Hayden over there on the back side of it, I guess. And then you got Saddle Mountain there in the background.
There always snow here?
Not during the summertime. We're just coming off of the winter, not quite springtime yet.
Yeah.
Over here on the left-hand side of the aircraft, this is Bright Angel Canyon. This is the widest point here in the Grand Canyon. So from the north rim all the way over to the south rim, that is 28 kilometers. Now you can actually hike from one rim to the other rim like we were talking about before, using the Kaibab Trail. And a little bit of a problem with the forest fire here in this area. Now, the unfortunate thing is they did a lot of destruction. Another unfortunate thing, it was purposely set. The other unfortunate thing, it was purposely set by the U.S. Forest Service. A big wind storm came up, blew their control burn way out of control, did all this damage. This happened back in the year 2000. Now, you can't quite see the ground during the spring, summer, and fall time just because there's so much new growth down there. It's coming back quite nicely.
Droga na dole, tak? Jakaś zasypana.
We've crossed over a couple of roads that had a bunch of snow on them. This is the North Rim access road. They are closed during the winter time. The whole North Rim is, I should say. Looks like they're trying to clear off some of them, though. Highway 67 is what this is. Now we see a whole bunch of trees down here below us. The ones without the leaves on them have white bark. They are the aspen tree. Then you have the predominant tree here in the Grand Canyon area, which is the ponderosa pine tree, which is all these other trees all the way around. The ponderosa pine tree is a very resilient tree, living to be between 300 and 600 years of age. It also has a very thick bark to it to help insulate it from forest fires. However, it is very healthy for the forest to burn a little bit. That releases a lot of nutrients into the soil, allowing these trees to continue to grow. Also, the heat from the forest fire travels up through the tree, opens up the pine cones, which then drops the pine nuts, and that's how we get new trees. How's everyone doing? Still doing good?
Yeah,
Feeling good,
thanks.
Good, good. All right, just out here ahead of us, just beyond this tree line, we see that long mountain there.
No, będzie to fajne wyjście. U góry macie samolot, zobaczcie.
This is the Dragon. So directly ahead of us, the Dragon head, or excuse me, the Dragon back. Just to the left of the nose of the aircraft is the Dragon head. Now we'll see the tail of the Dragon on the right-hand side in just a few seconds. Going to clear these trees, I'll make a right turn and then come back around to the left so we can give the guys on the left-hand side to see this. There's an airplane right there.
Yep.
Wow.
So we have the tail, the back, and the head.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dragon is laying on its belly, if you can make out this shape. Gary, somewhere over there on the right-hand side in that ravine, you're going to see a waterfall. It might be right down here below us. Right back in there. See it right there? A waterfall right back there.
Yeah, I can see the waterfall.
Now, out both sides of the aircraft, we have this 30-meter cliff face. This is called the Coconino layer of rock, 270 million years old, and it is a petrified desert.
Oh.
So that long ago, this entire area was covered by nothing but sand and sand dunes. All of the layers of rock below the Coconino layer, they were formed under a warm water environment, kind of like a beach or maybe a swampy area. And these areas contain a lot of iron. And that's where we get this reddish rusted color from, as the iron continues to oxidize and rust. Now just ahead of us here on the right-hand side of the aircraft, so we have the neck of the Dragon, then we have the Dragon head. Out in front of the Dragon head where it slopes off there, that is the nose of the Dragon. All the red rock down below the nose, that is the fire coming out of the Dragon's mouth. Here on the left-hand side of the aircraft, this big mountain is called Shiva Temple, named after the Hindu god of destruction. Over there on the right-hand side of the aircraft, you got these two mountain peaks right next to one another. The one on the right is called Confucius Temple. The one on the left is called Mencius Temple. They are named after the Chinese philosophers. Now, a couple of Egyptian gods we'd like to point out to you. Just ahead of us here on the left-hand side, this gray-colored rock. This is called Osiris Temple. But directly in front of us, this is where the sun is. So we've got this diamond-shaped red-colored rock. This is called the Tower of Ra. And Ra is the Egyptian sun god. So all the sun rays are all the jetties of rock that are coming off the Tower of Ra. Now, the Grand Canyon is one of the 7 natural wonders of the world, one of the longest and widest canyons in the world. However, it ranks number 3 as the deepest erosion canyons are concerned. The other two, one is in the northern part of Mexico, and the other one is in the northwest part of the United States, or in the state of Idaho. That one is called Hell's Canyon. Now you're starting to see the Colorado River once again. This layer of rock that the Colorado River is currently cutting through, this is called the Vishnu Schist, and it is 2 billion-year-old rock. One of the only places in the world you can view 2 billion years of exposed geological history. Now, this white water that you see down below us, which waves in the water, we call them rapids. These rapids are a Class 3 rapid. Now, it's kind of difficult to understand this from way up here, once again 1.6 kilometers up. But if you were going through these rapids, you would be rising and falling 3 to 4 meters at a time. Crystal Rapids, which is over there on the right-hand side of the aircraft, logged the largest rapid. If you had this helicopter on the ground and put 2 more on top of it, that's how tall the rapid was. Now we're going to have some fun. I'm going to throw a camera, or play like I threw a camera out the window, and we're going to see how long it takes before it hits the ground, and I'll let you know when it hits the water, actually. So, whoo, out the window goes the camera. Over here on the left-hand side of the aircraft, there's a trail that is cut into the side of the mountain. That is called the Hermit's Trail. The Hermit was a Frenchman that lived down in the bottom of the Grand Canyon, using that trail to come up on top of the south rim, collect a few supplies, take them back down to the bottom with him. Now, he had a little farm down there, raised some crops, raised some animals as well. Very self-sufficient at the bottom of the canyon.